Politics is taking a new turn in traditionally conservative Colorado Springs. Ann Trujillo recently talked to the founders behind a group, Together for Colorado Springs.
The city of Colorado Springs is known for being the center of Colorado's conservative movement, but now there's a grassroots movement to try and get the city to lean a little more toward the middle, which some city leaders hope will attract more business and people to the region. And joining us to talk about this organization called Together for Colorado Springs are Chair Dawn Halliburton-Rudy, so thank you for being here. Also, State Senator Mike Merrifield, and so thank you for being here as well. You're calling this a progressive political group. Dawn, tell us more about this.
Sure. So Together for Colorado Springs really is a grassroots organization. We are committed to really helping to shift our political landscape in Colorado Springs, whereby we're going to be supporting candidates who are moderate, who are progressive, at the same time supporting ballot measures that are moderate and progressive in order to hopefully change some of the mindset within the city of Colorado Springs.
How did this come to be? What got everyone fired up to create this movement?
Well, I mean, I would be dishonest if I say, you know, November 8th didn't really propel us into action. But you know, this had been in the works months ahead of that time. And really the thought behind it was, what are we going to do to create or try to shift and create monumental change in the city? Additionally, what we continuously saw is that candidates who were progressive and who were moderate oftentimes found themselves without a framework as to how to run their campaigns. Even people who in organizations who were supporting progressive ballot measures always started from scratch. There was no real good way for moderate candidates, progressive candidates, organizations who were supporting moderate or progressive ballot measures, really for them to kind of step in and know, okay, this is the recipe, this is how you win, this is how you get this measure passed. It didn't exist. So
let's bring Mike into this conversation then. How do you fit into this big picture, and what are the issues that are most pressing for you?
Well, I was first elected to the State House in 2002, and I was the first Democrat elected in over 20 years. And this has been the perception that Colorado Springs is an extremely conservative city, which is true, but there are large numbers of progressives, and I have the opportunity to deal with them and to relate with them on a daily basis. So I knew that there was a pocket of progressiveness in Colorado Springs. Then November 8th happened, and Trump's election just electrified people. It terrified people, and it made them extremely angry, and it motivated them. And people who had not been involved before are suddenly coming out of the woodwork. That's what's exciting me, that people are finally feeling we've got to do something. We can no longer watch from the sidelines. And thousands of people in Colorado Springs are saying it's time that our voice is heard. At the Women's March, the week after the election, there were over 7,000 people gathered to say, no, we're not going to allow this kind of policy to dictate our lives. We're going to protest.
Are you aligning yourselves with a particular political party, or are you trying to start your own?
Our organization actually is nonpartisan, and what we mean by that is we're staying true to that goal, that we are going to support candidates who are progressive and moderate in nature, irrespective of whatever party they belong to.
So what are the issues that are most pressing for you?
In Colorado Springs, I know from my own perspective as well as our organization's perspective, is we really don't have really good jobs that are going to help to sustain our economy. We are overly dependent upon the military. We don't seem to think that some of our elected officials don't seem to think that there's a problem with that overdependency. We are a growing population. I know that I was talking to a few of our elected officials last week, and some of the statistics that they're capturing is that we're not as aging as some of us might think down in Colorado Springs. However, though, included within that statistical group are young military soldiers. We know they don't stay most often in our city because they're transferred to other duty stations. So if we really want to be a competitive force along the Front Range, we are going to have to be committed to changing our political landscape in order to attract up-and-coming small businesses, but also larger corporations in order to sustain our economy.
So with about a minute left, what do you hope to accomplish through this, Michael?
Well, what I hope to see is some really intense and strong organization. And I'm a Democrat. I'm proud to say that I'm a Democrat. And I believe that the values that are being brought forward by Don's organization and similar organizations that are forming the Colorado Springs most closely align with my party. So I'm hoping to get support, and then to be able to get some real important policy issues settled and brought forward. I'm very concerned and would like to see some progress made in Colorado Springs, in the southeast part of the town, which has been ignored for years. And perhaps now we can get some impetus to get some investment done in the southeast part. If we can get these kind of organizations saying, wait, you're going to have to. We insist that you now look towards the southeast part of Colorado Springs. The environment, the protection of public lands, which are being threatened by the Trump administration, the GOP's agenda. On health care, which is the plan brought forward by the Republican Party, is frightening and terrifying to those who are very likely going to lose their health care. And finally, I'm a former teacher. I'm very concerned about the effort by the Trump administration appointing Betsy DeVos as the superintendent of education. Is a terrible threat to public education.
But what do you say to those folks who say this is going against what Colorado Springs stands for? It's been a long-held Republican area.
And that is true. I mean, you know, we had some really what I would consider to be just very extreme, radical politicians. For instance, our county commissioner, Betty Beatty, you know,
but they've been elected officials.
Right, on an open forum, though, saying that Colorado Springs is great for normal white folks. You know, those types of statements, we are absolutely committed as an organization to coming up and standing up against, which has not been done in Colorado Springs virtually ever. People would just allow those crazy extreme statements to be made, and there was no opposition. There was nothing said in return, letting people know that is not Colorado Springs and that is not this city.
Well, we will see what happens as you move forward with your organization. Thank you both for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.